This is Greg Baker, STEM and General Technology teacher from Learn 9 Waukegan, and this is a tutorial for Google Calendar. You can get to Google Calendar a few different ways. You can type calendar.google.com into your address bar. You can search for Google Calendar in Google. If you're already in Google, you can click your waffle and then click Calendar. That's going to take you to your main Google Calendar page. The way Google Calendar is set up, you have your settings on the top, you have your calendar menu on the left, and your main calendar is in the center. So if we look at the left, you have a few different things that you can see. You can look at the monthly calendar. If you use the arrows, you can go forwards and backwards, and this just gives you an idea of what the calendar looks like for that month. Underneath the month calendar, you have Meet With, which is kind of like a shortcut. If you need to create a quick meeting with a few people, you can just search for their names and it'll create a quick calendar event. And underneath that, you have your calendars and other calendars. So if I look at my calendars, I'm going to see every calendar that is attached to my Google account. You'll notice that I have a lot of different calendars here. These are all calendars that come from Google Classroom. So because I teach all of the classes at Learn 9, I have a lot of different Google Classrooms. All those calendars are here. But you'll notice some of them have a check and some of them do not. I've turned off the calendars for most of my Google Classrooms because I don't need them on my main Google Calendar page. They just add too much and it's hard for me to keep track of what's what. So I turn those on and off when I need them. All you have to do is click and click and it'll turn them on and off. A few other things that you can do from this menu. You can click the X if you want to unsubscribe or remove that calendar from your Google Calendar. You can also click the three dots and you can change the color of that calendar, or you can go into your settings and this is where you can share your calendar. So if I wanted to share my calendar with my principal, or if it's a calendar that you have that you want to share with a co-teacher or with a paraprofessional that works in your room, you can add people and then it will send them an invitation to be able to view your calendar. So that might be helpful for your DL teachers who may be scheduling IEP meetings and things like that. Looking up at the top, we're going to start on the right. This is where you can toggle your view. So you can do a year view, a month view, a week view, or a day view. The month will show you that month plus any extra days that happen to fall before or after. I typically stick with the week view just because it gives me a little bit better idea just at a glance of what I have at each time during the day. That's my personal preference. You can set it up however you like. Next to that is your settings menu. If you go into the general settings, this is where you can change the language, your times, your formats. You can set up different options there. That's something that you can play with on your own. It's just personal preference kind of things. After that, you have your trash. So if you accidentally deleted an event, you can go in and you can check your trash and try and restore it from there. You have your density and color settings. You can change the text color that shows up from black to white, whatever you prefer. You can also change the density of your calendar. So if you want it responsive to your screen, meaning depending on what size computer screen you're working on, it will expand or contract for that. Or you can make it compact, which just kind of shrinks everything down a little bit for a better fit. I'm going to keep mine responsive because that's a little bit easier for me to see. And the last setting that I'll show you is the print option. So if you wanted to print your calendar for the week or for the month so that you can post it somewhere, you have that option as well. You also have a search function. So if you click the magnifying glass, you'll get a search bar. So if you want to look back and find a calendar event you can't quite remember when it was, you can do a search for the event. So let's say we had an event at school 2 years ago and I want to remember about the time frame. I can go back and I can search for the name of that event and I can find it. Or if I did some sort of training like through IDEA, I can search that and I can see when I had those different webinars, so I can go back and find the dates. And the last menu tool I'll show you up the top here, you can use the arrows to go back and forth week by week, or depending on what view you're in, if you're in a day view, it'll go day by day. If you want to go back to today, you just click today. We've gone through the layout of Google Calendar, so now let's create an event. On the left, I'm going to go over and I'm going to choose my date. So let's say I'm going to have a meeting on the 14th of July. I'm going to come over to the 14th of July and I'm going to choose the time that I want to have my meeting. So if I want to have a 1 o'clock meeting, I will go to 1 o'clock, click, and now I can create my meeting. So I'm going to give it a title. We're just going to call this meeting. And then I can choose the type of event that I want. So I can do a regular event. I can do an out of office. I can set up a reminder, or I can set up appointment slots. Now, appointment slots are cool if you want to have individual meetings with either individual people or small groups. You can set up these appointment slots, send it out to your guests, and then they can choose which appointment slot that they want to sign up for. I'm going to create just a regular event. I have my dates. I have my times. If I want to extend it, I just click. I can choose an end time, or I can type in a specific time. So if this is going to be like a 45-minute meeting, I can set this to 1:45 p.m. And you'll see over here the appointment slot changed. Underneath that, I can click Add Guests, and I can add people who I want to come to my meeting. Great. I also have the option to add Google Meet video conferencing. So if I click this, it will set it up so that when I send the invite for this event, it will have the join code and the URL for the Google Meet. I can add rooms or locations if we're meeting in person. I can add a description, and then I can change the calendar that I want this associated with. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show a different way that you can do this. Discard. And instead of single clicking, I'm going to double click. This screen has similar options, but there are some more advanced things that I wanted to show you that I think are helpful. So again, I'm going to put my title. I have my dates. I have my times. You can set it up as an all-day event, or you can set it up as a repeating event. So if this is a meeting that I'm going to have every single week on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, I can set it up for weekly on Tuesday, and it will automatically populate my calendar going forward every single Tuesday at 1 o'clock with this same meeting. Underneath that, I have my event details. So once again, I can add my Google Meet invite. I can add my location. This is where I can set up my notifications. So if I wanted to get a notification 30 minutes before my meeting is supposed to start, I can do that, and then it'll send me a calendar notification. Underneath that, this is where I can choose the calendar that it's going to. So if it's a personal event, I can leave my calendar here, but if you're setting it up for maybe one of your Google Classroom classes, you can set it on that calendar as well. At the bottom, you can add your description so your guests can see what it's about. That's also where you can post your meeting agendas and things like that. On the right-hand side, this is where you're going to add your guests. So I'm going to invite my fake student self. And it says calendar cannot be shown because this is a student account, so you can't see the student calendar. But if you had a shared calendar, then you would be able to see if that person was available at that time. Underneath that, you have a few permissions options. So if I wanted my guests to be able to invite other guests, I can leave that. But if I don't want any other people invited, I can uncheck that. I can also uncheck this box so that my guests can't look and see who else is coming to the event. Again, those are up to you. Once you're finished, you click Save, and then you have the option to send email invitations. If you need to send it, click Send. If it's an event everyone already knows about, you don't have to. I'm going to send it, and there we go. It's sent. It's now on my calendar, and I can see it. Here's my meeting from 1 to 2. If for some reason I need to edit or change this event, I can do it a couple different ways. If I just need to change the time, I can click and drag, and I can move it down to 2 o'clock, and then I'll choose if it's just for this event or if it's all of the events that I scheduled going forward. I can also do this and move it horizontally to change days as well, and it'll do the same thing. If I click on it once, it's going to give me a general overview. Here's the email if I need to send an email to the guests saying that something has changed, or if I just want to send it as a reminder. I can click here to edit the event, or if I want to get rid of it, I can click delete. I'm going to get rid of all of these because I don't need them on my calendar, and I don't need to send the cancellation to myself because I already know about it, but you could do that as well. So those are the main functions of Google Calendar. Hopefully that will be helpful for you going forward. There is also a Google Calendar app that you can get on your phone that you can attach to your Google account so that you can check your calendar and add events to your calendar as you're on the go. If you have questions, you can contact me at gbaker@learncharter.org, and I'll do my best to help you out. Until next time, I've been Greg Baker from Learn 9 Waukegan. Have a wonderful school year.